Amid the bare hills and blowing sands of the Yemeni desert, a group of explorers stand on the precipice of a mysterious well. For generations, locals have avoided this place, chased away by dark rumors and a terrifying past. But now, they are about to get to the bottom of things once and for all. Locals were warned against entering a 400-foot well, but explorers pushed ahead. A sprawling black spot on the bleak landscape, the Well of Barhout, otherwise known as the Well of Hell, certainly looks the part. And it's almost impossible to gaze into its abyss without conjuring up some fearsome denizens of the deep. But is there any truth to the stories about a place that has been dubbed the worst ever? To the Yemeni locals, this vast hole in the desert is known as the home of evil spirits and a source of limitless bad luck. And when the explorers decided to descend into the well, many believed that they would not return. This is the story of what happened when they launched themselves into the unknown, hundreds of feet below the surface of the earth. Located some 20 miles from the border where Yemen meets Oman, the Well of Barhout has a reputation that spans many centuries. In fact, the geological anomaly is mentioned at least as far back as the 7th century, when it appeared in the writings of the Islamic scribe Ibn Abbas. Known as an interpreter of the Quran, Abbas penned many hadiths, said to be direct quotes from his cousin, the Prophet Muhammad. One reads, "The best water on the face of the earth is the water of Zamzam. It contains food to satisfy hunger and a cure for illnesses. The worst water on the face of the earth is the water at Wadi Barhout in Hadramaut, which is like locusts in comparison with other pests. It gushes in the morning and is dry by the evening," the hadith continues. And even though modern geologists have yet to observe such a phenomena, the Well of Barhout has remained stigmatized over the years. In fact, these words have led to a belief that the water here is poisonous, a fear that continues to this day. But poisonous water is far from the only thing that the locals fear. Over the centuries, the story appears to have morphed into an allegorical tale, dealing with the progression of souls into the afterlife. Speaking to the travel website Atlas Obscura in October 2021, the University of Cambridge's Sam Lassman explained the process. This hadith gets interpreted into the idea of a barzakh, which is sort of like the Islamic limbo, Dr. Lassman said. The souls of the good people go to Zamzam, the best water in the world, and the souls of unbelievers or wicked people go to Barhout, the worst water in the world. But how did the Well of Barhout become such an evil place? Well, according to legend, this particular spot in the Yemeni desert has long been associated with the jinn, a type of spirit from Islamic mythology. Like humans, they are said to be equipped with free will and can choose to be either good or evil, although these are definitely the latter kind. According to one story, some long-dead king needed a place to hide his treasure and ordered jinn to construct the Well of Barhout. Another tale, though, simply states that the cavern has always existed as a place to contain these evil spirits. Whatever the case, it seems clear that the area has been fostering its sinister reputation for a long time. Fast forward to the 21st century, and little has changed. Although the cities of Yemen and Oman have transformed immeasurably over the years, the Well of Barhout looks the same now as it did more than a millennium ago. And similarly, fear of the creatures that lurk within continues to resonate throughout the desert community. Today, locals still warn of a place steeped in ill feeling, a harbinger of bad luck for those who venture there. And one story even claims that anyone brave or stupid enough to set foot inside the well will wind up decapitated by vengeful jinn. So perhaps it should come as no surprise that, until recently, the bottom of the crater remained unexplored. All that changed in September 2021, when a team of 7 from the Omani Caves Exploration Team, Arasat, decided to see what was lurking at the bottom of the infamous well. Speaking to Atlas Obscura, Omani caver and geologist Muhammad Al-Kindi explained that he had long been aware of the legends surrounding the location. "Yes, locals always told us about that," Al-Kindi recalled. "They also mentioned wild animals. They mentioned strange voices or people screaming below. They mentioned also that the air there is really bad. You will not be able to breathe." Even in the face of such stark warnings, though, he was determined to face the challenge head-on. On the surface, the opening to the Well of Barhout appears as a 100-foot gash across the desert floor. But with no idea what awaited them below, the team struggled to plan the expedition. In fact, they made 2 aborted attempts to descend into the cavern before they were eventually successful. Interestingly, though, it wasn't fear of bad luck or jinn that hindered their attempts. According to Al-Kindi, one of the main challenges of the expedition was the risk posed by unexploded ordnance in the area. For the last 8 years, you see, a civil war has been raging across Yemen, and the relics of that conflict are scattered across the landscape today. Although Al-Kindi was concerned about these dangers, he pressed on, becoming the first man to rappel over the lip of the cavern and venture into the abyss below. Speaking to Atlas Obscura, he explained that the feat was quite easy because it's just a single drop. And the rope that he was using didn't actually connect with the rock face at any point. So what was waiting for Al-Kindi as he ventured into one of the most feared places on Earth? Was it awash with evil spirits or, as some locals had suggested, a haven for deadly crocodiles? As he began to descend, the features of the cave became clear, although he didn't spot anything that might account for its terrifying reputation. Some 300 feet down, the explorer hit a hitch. Al-Kindi could spot the floor of the cave a further 50 feet below, but before he could reach it, his rope came to an abrupt end. And although he was able to use his walkie-talkie to call for assistance, he must have spent a tense few moments dangling helplessly in the dark. Eventually, though, with the aid of a longer rope, Al-Kindi reached the bottom of the cave, followed by the rest of his team. At 367 feet beneath the surface, the cavern widened out into a 380-foot chamber, illuminated by a beam of light from the entrance above. And for about 4 or 5 hours, they explored this pristine subterranean world. As it turns out, the Well of Barhout is not a death trap after all. Sure, it is brimming with awe-inspiring wonders, but they're not of the supernatural kind. Instead, the cavern is home to a fascinating ecosystem packed with life forms that have thrived deep underground for thousands of years. As he descended deeper into the cave, Al-Kindi noted that the walls are made up of 2 different types of rock. From the top, he explained, water filters down through a porous and permeable layer, eventually hitting a second, less penetrable, section before cascading down to the floor far below. Over time, this process has created 4 separate waterfalls within the Well of Barhout, each roughly 150 feet high. And despite the rumors, the liquid that pools at the bottom is far from the worst in the world. In fact, Al-Kindi himself drank a large quantity and lived to tell the tale. It's very fresh, very normal water, Al-Kindi insisted. And he should know. After the expedition, he took samples to be analyzed at an Omani university, confirming his suspicion that there was nothing unusual at play. Similarly, he found the tales of dangerous animals at the bottom of the cave to be greatly exaggerated at best. There were snakes, but they won't bother you unless you bother them, Al-Kindi told news agency AFP in September 2021. According to experts, these creatures thrive in environments such as this, shielded from predators as they feast on nutrients that fall from above. Although, as a result of the dark conditions, they are eerily translucent in appearance. And snakes were far from the only creatures living down in the dark. According to reports, the explorers also spotted beetles, toads, lizards, and even birds inhabiting the corners of the cavern. And in a rather grim twist, they took samples from animal remains and brought them back to be studied under laboratory conditions. It's these expired creatures, Al-Kindi believes, that could be responsible for some of the stories surrounding the Well of Barhout. Apparently, there is a rumor that a putrid odor can be detected emanating from the cave. But rather than evidence of evil spirits, it might simply be the result of organic matter decomposing inside. But it wasn't just the unusual fauna that captured the team's attention inside the Well of Barhout. Looking around, they saw that the space was filled with stunning natural formations, such as glistening stalactites and stalagmites. Beside these, they also spotted clusters of blue-green cave pearls, formed as calcium deposits are smoothed by running water. After collecting samples from the soil and rocks, the team returned to the surface mercifully with their heads still attached. As they climbed out of the hole, they saw that a large crowd of locals had assembled around the entrance to the cave. And when they realized that the cavers were unharmed, the questions started coming. According to Atlas Obscura, Al-Kindi patiently updated the crowd with his findings, showing them photographs and samples taken from inside the cave. And slowly, the veil of superstition began to lift. He said, "What we did here I think is essential, because we changed people's minds at least about one of these places." Although it might seem strange by modern standards, it's easy to see how such a climate of fear came to surround the Well of Barhout. According to Dr. Lassman, caves are often depicted as the homes of evil spirits in Islamic stories. He said, "The association of jinn with scary places, dark places, subterranean places, vermin-infested places, that's everywhere." And Al-Kindi thinks he knows why that might be the case. He explained, if people don't know about a place, if they can't reach it, they will invent around it all kinds of stories. Sometimes they do that for a reason. Maybe they want to prevent their kids from going there. Or perhaps, Al-Kindi argues, the stories have grown out of a desire to claim territory in what has historically been a volatile part of the world. He continued, maybe they want to tell people that we do own this place, for instance, and we get support from jinn or ghosts or whatever. Although Al-Kindi hopes that his expedition will help to dispel some of the rumors, it seems unlikely that the Well of Barhout will ever shake off its reputation entirely. After all, legends such as these have a culturally important role to play, and not just in remote places such as the Yemeni desert. From Colombia to Japan, in fact, legends of jinn-like entities and the dark places which they inhabit continue to persevere. And according to Dr. Lassman, they help people to understand the world around them, providing a framework for processing complex topics such as mental illness and trauma. To many, that gives them a significance which should not be overlooked. So what does the future hold for places such as the Well of Barhout? Will scientific expeditions slowly erode away all mystery, leaving nothing more than a deep cave? Or will the legends linger even after human explorers make it out of their depths unscathed? After all, this is not the only place where a deep cavern has long been associated with the underworld. In ancient Rome, for example, there was a cave considered by many to be a gateway to hell. Located in Hierapolis, a city in southwest Anatolia, it once served as a site of animal sacrifice, where crowds gathered to watch the unfortunate creatures meet with a grisly fate. Placed outside the entrance, they would soon succumb to the mysterious fumes which emanated from the grotto. Today, of course, we know that there was nothing hellish going on at Hierapolis. Instead, the animals probably fell victim to carbon dioxide poisoning when large amounts of the gas were released by seismic activity beneath the surface. Being low to the ground, the creatures felt the full brunt of the noxious vapors, while the priests, who were higher up, survived, giving the impression of divine intervention. Meanwhile, over in Turkmenistan, there is another anomaly that locals have dubbed the Gates of Hell. This time, it's a crater of burning gas, located in the depths of the Karakum Desert. According to reports, the fire has been blazing since the 1980s, although scientists have never been able to fully explain it. In 2013, some brave explorers ventured down into this mysterious cave, attempting to dispel the supernatural rumors once and for all. And perhaps unsurprisingly, they did not find themselves trapped in the underworld. But if Al-Kindi's experience in the Well of Barhout is anything to go by, this will not be enough to dispel the rumors that cling to such hellish places. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.